Hello and shalom to everyone out there who has the fear of Yahweh Elohim, who has a testimony of his son Master Yahshua, and who guards his commandments. Brother Nick, son of Dirk, here, and today is the 26th day of the 4th month on Yahweh Elohim's solar calibrated non-Gregorian 364-day calendar of the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Gregorian equivalent today is July 15th, 2025, while I'm filming this video from the island of Cyprus here in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea. And this video is the real date of the Feast of New Wine, according to the Dead Sea Scrolls, and that it matches the Exodus chronology, which I'll be going over in this video. And that day for the Feast of New Wine, according to the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Exodus chronology, is the 3rd day of the 5th month. And I'm going to be documenting all that in this video, giving you the evidence from the Dead Sea Scrolls, showing you how to count it, and showing how it all matches the concealed Exodus chronology on the day that Moses came down the mountain with the tablets and broke them. Okay, so I'll be going through this calendar right here. This is just one version of the 364-day calendar. This is the biblical anniversary spreadsheet version of the calendar that I publish. So I'll be taking a look at that. But before I do, there's some things that I want to touch on to set up this video. So here I am. I got Isaiah chapter 56 open, verses 9 through 12. And this right here, this segment is Israel's sinful leaders. That's what the title is called this. All ye beasts of the field come to devour. Yea, all ye beasts in the forest. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Yea, they are greedy dogs which can never have enough. And they are shepherds that cannot understand. They are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way, every one for his gain from his quarter. Come ye, say they, I will fetch wine. And this video is on new wine. And we will fill ourselves with strong drink, and tomorrow shall be as this day, and much more abundant. So this is very important to understand. I'm going to be sharing why. The shepherds, they are shepherds that cannot understand, and they all look to their own way, everyone for his gain, whether it be clicks, whether it be praise, whether it be financial support, whatever it is, that's what's going on here. All from his own quarter, from his own house. This is talking about now. These are talking about watchmen doing it now in front of the screen, trying to, for whatever selfish ambition that they have. They're greedy dogs, Yahweh says, and this is where they're at, okay? They're all ignorant, blind, dumb dogs. So this is what I'm talking about in this video. And here's a very popular watchman right here. This is Barry Awe, dressed in as a half dog and a half human for his 2019 Halloween celebration with his family. Okay, he's half dog, half human. Go ahead and take a look. And he is one of the most popular watchmen out there. He is very entertaining and makes jokes and does all of these things in jest and just, he has his own way of doing things. They look to their own way. They cannot understand. They look to their own way when it comes to the feast, when it comes to the information that we have. And that's what's going on in the community right now. So this is going to be a test for everybody out there. This is the first fruit of new wine test. All right. I have the authority line, the date line, and then the calendar. This is actually the row. Okay. So the authority, Barry Awe, says the date of the Feast of New Wine is on the 9th day of the 5th month. He goes by the lunar Sabbath, which is a 354-day calendar. And as a side note, he is very well aware of the 364-day calendar, but he says the calendar is lunar. So I'll be showing you that clip of him saying so. The Dead Sea Scrolls says the date of the First Fruits Festival of New Wine is on the 3rd day of the 5th month. It anchors it to that date. It literally says 3rd day of the 5th month in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It tells us how to count it, and it matches when you do the Exodus chronology. And the calendar type is solar Sabbath, and it's 364 days. Okay, there's several variants of the variations of the 364-day calendar out there. All of them are false. It has to be solar calibrated, meaning it's a solar Sabbath calendar. He goes by the lunar Sabbath calendar. I know Dan Larimer goes by the lunar Sabbath calendar.
And Barry has everybody saying that the Feast of New Wine is on the 9th day of the 5th month. Nobody is being sound. Nobody is being logical. Nobody is saying, hey, the only reason why we know about the new wine is from the Dead Sea Scrolls, which says it's the 3rd day of the 5th month, which actually matches the 364-day calendar, and it matches all of the records in Exodus, the chronology records in Exodus that I'm going to share with you in this video.
And everybody's trying to talk about new wine, but they would not know about new wine if it wasn't for the Dead Sea Scrolls. And that's what I'm trying to say. All right? So, even though the Bible alludes to there being the Feast of New Wine, the only way and the only reason we know for a fact that the Feast of New Wine exists and when it exists is because of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So there's a lot of typology in the Bible in the Old Testament, about the Feast of New Wine, the New Testament about the Feast of New Wine. It's just typology. We wouldn't know it was for certain unless we had the Dead Sea Scrolls. And we wouldn't know when it is unless we go by what the Dead Sea Scrolls says, okay? If we didn't have the Dead Sea Scrolls, we would not be talking about the Feast of New Wine, how we're talking about it today. And we've been talking about it for like the last 5 years now.
Oops, I've been talking about it since 2018, so this is going to be my 8th year talking about the Feast of New Wine.
Because no one would know how to count there to get to it. And the following Dead Sea Scrolls facts are about the date of the Feast of New Wine. So here I am, this is a screenshot of the Feast of New Wine in the Temple Scroll, 11Q20. It tells us how to count 3 Shavuot Pentecost first fruit festivals of the wheat, the wine, and the oil. And it says from them, you're supposed to count from each day, starting on the festival of new wheat, which is Shavuot, the wheat harvest, the Hajj pilgrimage festival that the men of Israel that are in the land are required to go to Jerusalem. You would start on that day and count 7 Sabbaths, so that's the 15th day of the 3rd month, count 7 Sabbaths and number the following day 50. That's exactly what it says right here. And you shall count for yourselves from the day which you are carried to Yahweh the new cereal offering, the bread of the first fruits, 7 weeks, 7 Sabbaths, 7 full Sabbaths. After that 7th Sabbath, you shall count 50 days. But the Gesevern's translation has it correct.
And here's the Gesevern's translation. This is the better translation. You should count 7 weeks from the day when you bring the new grain offering to Yahweh, the bread of the first fruits. 7 full Sabbaths shall elapse until you have counted 50 days to the morrow. So the following day after 7 full Sabbaths is the 50th day, the morrow of the 7th Sabbath. So the day after. Counted 50 days to the morrow after the 7th Sabbath. So the day after the 7th Sabbath is day number 50. And you shall bring new wine for a drink offering 4 hands from all the tribes of Israel, 1/3 of a hin from each tribe. And real important for everybody to know, you cannot do this on the lunar Sabbath calendar. You cannot do it on there. That's why they come up with the 9th day of the 5th month. They don't want to be honest with the text. They don't want to be honest with all of this stuff. They want their lunar calendar. They are lunatics, and that's what's going on. Only can do this on the 364-day calendar.
You count 7 Sabbaths, number the following day 50. And here is scroll 4Q325, and it anchors dates. It gives us the date. It pegs the date of the first fruits festival of new wine to the 3rd day of the 5th month. You can see right here, it says the 6th month, the beginning of the 6th month. But here, on the 2nd of it, the Sabbath of Immer, which is the 2nd of the 5th month, is the Sabbath of Immer. On the 3rd of it, the festival of new wine. On the day after the Sabbath of Immer. Okay? So the 2nd day of the 5th month, Sabbath. The 3rd day of the 5th month is the Feast of New Wine. Burial is telling you it's the 9th day of the 5th month. This is what the scriptures, this is what this says. And again, if we didn't have the Dead Sea Scrolls, we would not know how to count 7 Sabbaths, number the following day 50. We would not have the date to the 3rd day of the 5th month pegged to it. And again, the calendar of the Dead Sea Scrolls is 364 days. There's 3 times, according to the Dead Sea Scrolls, it says it's 364 days. It has to be solar calibrated, not Gregorian based. All right, it's completely independent. And then here you go. This is I've been using this for like 6 years or 7 years on my channel. This graphic right here. So here you have it according to the Dead Sea Scrolls and the 364-day calendar. It all starts with the first fruits barley of the wave sheaf, which happens on the Sabbath, on the first day after the Sabbath, after unleavened bread, on the 26th day of the first month. You would then count 7 Sabbaths, number the following day 50, and that brings you to the first Shavuot. Shavuot right here, which is the first fruits festival of the wheat harvest. It's also the first fruits festival of the covenants, and that day is anchored always to the 15th day of the third month, which is also on the first day of the week. Then you would count 7 Sabbaths, number the following day 50, it's the first day of the week, and that's the first fruits festival of new wine. It's also a Pentecost. It's the Pentecost of Acts chapter 2. And that day is always going to be the third day of the 5th month. That's just how it works. It's very simple. But everybody out there is confused because there's all these lunatics preaching the lunar calendar. From this day, you would go 7 Sabbaths, all right, and number the following day 50, which is the first day of the week. And that's going to bring you to the first fruits festival of new oil, which is the 22nd day of the 6th month. Burial is trying to tell you it's like Yom Teruah, false teaching, his own understanding, dumb dog, because he can't understand these simple things, okay? Daniel Larimer, he's going down this path. He thinks he's so smart, he can figure it out for himself when the text just says it right in front. And anybody else that's on that saying it's the 9th day of the 5th month, they're completely wrong. They have no idea, and they think that they know what's going on. But I'm thinking Isaiah 56 is talking about these guys out here. So, look, all right? So here you have it. This is how it works, and there you have that. So you can get this calendar. You can get the calendar on my website, 364-day calendar. But with that said, we all agree that without the Dead Sea Scrolls, no one would be talking about the First Fruits Festival of New Wine like we're doing it now. And now let me go ahead, play a clip of Burial to see what Burial says about the Dead Sea Scrolls, about how he came up with his date as the 9th day of the 5th month. Let's go ahead and see what this guy has to say. All right. Looks like a clown shirt to me, Barry. So let me go ahead, see what Barry got to say, because he acts like a clown. He tries to get everybody alive. He wants to do all this goofy stuff. And guy's just a clown. He just needs to repent. That's all. All Yahweh wants us to do is repent. Okay? So here we go. Let's go ahead and get into this video.
God said the earth would cry out from inside. And so that's what we believe. Some of what the Dead Sea Scrolls provide that information. So they said 15th day of the 3rd month also. And some of the other books like the Book of Jubilees and Esdras or some highlight Abraham doing the feast on the 15th day of the 3rd month. So we came to it by counting Sabbaths. So then how do we get to our feast of new wine? Do we discount 50 days from the 15th and come to the 3rd of Av? No, that is what the Dead Sea Scrolls say, but I'm going to stick with what I believe God has led me to understand. We're counting by the moon, but I'm going to stick with what I believe God has led me to understand. We're counting by the moon, but I'm going to stick with what I believe God has led me to understand. We're counting by the moon.
They are shepherds that cannot understand.
So that brings us 7 complete Sabbaths is 2 more plus 4 plus 1. That's 7. The day after the 7th day is the 8th day. Being so close to the 9th of Ab, again, I just feel God is solidifying it spiritually with his wisdom with all these stories. And so I say we're going to stick with counting the Sabbaths by the moon. Every moon has 4 Sabbaths, from the sliver to a half, to a full, to the other half, to the last sliver, and then the moon end. During the moon end, you wait. It's almost like holding your breath. It's almost like a jubilee. It's just you wait, because we are instructed, wait upon the Lord. Nobody knows the day or the hour. You keep looking for that sliver. See the sliver, that's day 1. God taught us how to know day 1. And he said day 14, which happens to be the 2nd Sabbath, but I told you day 14, so you keep on track. It's day 14 of the moon. Okay? So from the Feast of New Wine, now if I count 7 complete Sabbaths, 1, 2, 3 in Av, 1, 2, 3, 4 in Elul. That brings me right to the Feast of Trumpets. The Feast of Trumpets is famously known for not having a meaning.
Okay, guys, so what you just saw is completely false, and it's only going to get worse from here. He's counting according to how he understands it, but without the Dead Sea Scrolls, we wouldn't know. Let's see what this guy thinks. He's doing it according to his own idea, his own understanding. He has no idea what he's doing. He is so wrong, so blind, just like a blind, dumb dog.
If you follow, again, I don't stick to any one thing. I try to let God be my lead and let the Spirit lead me, even if it seems like I have to go someplace uncomfortable. I say, oh man, this makes me uncomfortable. Nobody else is saying this. I'm the only guy saying this. Everybody's going to laugh at me. I don't care. I'll be a fool for him if I will follow what he echoes in my spirit, and my spirit has a peace. I have an unction of spirit that he gives me. He says, now you're listening to me. So I say, all right, I'm going to go by Sabbath, even though I really like saying that the Essenes and the Dead Sea Scrolls also confirm that was the 15th day of the third month. So I wish so bad they also said 8th of Av. And then they said Feast of Trumpets, but they don't. But I'm not going to stick with them. I'm going to stick with what God said, because he said, I use the sun, moon, and stars for my appointed times. And he said specifically the moon.
All right, so there you have it. Barry All, he says his own way of doing things, and he goes against the Dead Sea Scrolls, and that, again, reminds me of Isaiah chapter 56. So there you have it. All right, I've presented all the evidence for your test. What is the test results? Barry All is false. The Dead Sea Scrolls is true. And Barry All, as you just saw, and by his own video, he thinks he has his own understanding. You know, he knows better. He's looking to their own way. He's doing his own thing. And that's just the problem in Israel. Okay? All of these watchmen that are blind, ignorant, dumb dogs, cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber, greedy dogs, can never have enough. They're the shepherds that cannot understand, and they all look to their own ways, everyone for his gain. But this isn't a popularity contest. This isn't public speaking contest. This is a truth contest. Okay, what's true and what's false. All right? So now let's get to this main part of the video, which is the most important part. Exodus chronology proves the Feast of New Wine. It only works on the 364-day calendar, third day of the 5th month, just as the Dead Sea Scrolls say. Okay, so here I am on the Biblical Anniversary spreadsheet, 364-day calendar, link in the description, video description, okay? This is the third day of the 5th month. This is the Feast of New Wine, but I'm going to go all the way back up to here to the 15th day of the 3rd month, which is the day of Shavuot. And going through this right here, everything in blue is going to be chronology according to the Exodus account. So I'm going to bring everybody through this right now and prove how the third day of the 5th month matches perfectly Moses coming down the mountain and breaking the tablets.
Which is the Feast of New Wine.
All right? And that's what's going on. And as you can see, the 15th day of the 3rd month, hopefully the text is big enough for everybody to see, but this is as good as I can get it. Here, Israel arrived at Mount Sinai on the 15th day of the 3rd month. Moses goes up the mountain. Yahweh calls Moses up the mountain and tells Moses that he wants to make a covenant with Israel. Moses goes back down the mount and tells the elders. Okay, so it's not a really high mountain because they had to travel all the way there to get to Mount Sinai. Then he went up the mountain. Then he went back down the mountain. There's no way, if it was Jebel al-Laz in Saudi Arabia, that this would happen. We're looking at a very small, prominent mountain. Maybe just, a couple 100 meters high. Nothing really super high. Okay? Moses goes back down the mountain and tells the elders of Israel agree to the covenant. Done. It's a deal. 15th day of the 3rd month. Verbal agreement. Bang. All right, so now they're in covenant relationship verbally. Moses went back up the mountain to report to Yahweh, to the elders, the words that the elders that they agreed to the covenant. Yahweh then instructed Moses to go back down the mountain and sanctify the people today, tomorrow, and that on the 3rd day of the week, Yahweh would descend on Mount Sinai. Okay, so Moses had to go get to Mount Sinai, go up the mountain, go down the mountain, go up the mountain and down the mountain again, all on the same day. That's not happening in Jebel el-Laz, Saudi Arabia. Ron Wyatt's site is false. That huge mountain is false. It's something way more prominent. I've been looking for it for like 4 years over there. Haven't been able to find it in Jordan, or I think it's in Jordan probably, but I'll talk about that later. So there you have that. Now he said to sanctify the people today. That's day one, weekday one. Remember, this day is the first day of the week. The day before, right here in purple, is the Sabbath day. Shavuot is always on the first day of the week. So he said, sanctify the people today. He said, sanctify the people tomorrow, which is the second day of the week right here. And then he says, on the third day of the week, what do you know? It's the third day of the week. On the third day, Yahweh is he's going to come down on the mountain. So when it says third day, it means the third day of the week on the 364-day calendar, and it matches perfectly. Hallelujah. Okay? So there you saw it. So here's the Sabbath in purple. Day one is when they show up. Okay? Here's day two. And then day two, the Israelites sanctified themselves at the mountain. The men are commanded, everyone's commanded to abstain from sex and to wash themselves and their garments. And then day three, they're commanded to abstain from sex right here. And then Yahweh at morning at the Boker, right after, as the sun is rising, on this day, the 17th day of the third month, on the third day of the week, Yahweh descended upon Mount Sinai. Yahweh then called up Moses to the top. Yahweh then sends Moses back down to the mountain and tells the people, and tells Moses to come back up with Aaron. And then while Moses is by the people getting Aaron, Yahweh then decides to speak audibly. Okay, the 10 Commandments to Israel. And then the men freak out and tell Moses to speak with them and not Elohim. And then Moses went back into the darkness, and Yahweh instructed Moses the ordinance of the law. Moses then, on this same day, he returns to the men and relays the full ordinances, and the Israelites again agreed to it, and Moses wrote down all the words, and then it appears that Moses went to sleep, and then the next day begins at Boker. So that's what happened on this day, all right? That's what happened. On the 8th, the following day, on the 18th day of the third month, Moses, he woke up early in the morning at Boker. Moses built the altar, sets up the 12 standing stones, not those columns at the fake Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia. Moses then offers burnt offerings and peace offerings. This is in the Boker. Read the book of the covenant to the Israelites, and the Israelites again agreed to the covenant, and that's when Moses sprinkled them with blood and ratified the covenant. Blood ratified the covenant right here on this day. And then Yahweh instructed Moses to come partway up Mount Sinai with Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders for worship afar off, with a fellowship meal. They had a fellowship meal on that day. Yahweh calls Moses up the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain, and the glory of Yahweh came upon Mount Sinai for 6 days. Okay? So, this is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5 of the glory of Yahweh, day 6. This is the 7th day. Yahweh then called Moses up to the mountain, and Joshua came up. This would have been day number 1 of 40 of Moses' supernatural fast. And it was during this time Yahweh instructed Moses of the law, gave the written tablets according to Jubilees, and Yahweh teaches Moses the chronology and history of the book of Jubilees. Okay, that's Jubilees chapter 1, verse 3 to 4. Okay, so there you have that. That's Exodus 24:16b through 31:18. So this is the day number 1. So now let's go ahead and count down 40 days, all right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. There we go. We got to 40. The 40th day. So this is not using inclusive counting. This is day number 40. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, starting back then where I showed you. The 40th day of the fast is here, the second day of the 5th month. Moses completed the fast after this day. He completed the fast. This is the 40th day of Mount Sinai. This is the fast. And the following day, he returned down the mountain. Okay? And likely on this day, Aaron made the gold calf and built an altar and proclaimed the next day to be a feast of Yahweh. That's what happened here. So we have Aaron building an idol on the Sabbath day. Wow. Okay, that's something, all right? The following day, right here, this is day number 41. It's the 3rd day of the 5th month on the 364-day calendar. Hallelujah. This is exactly how it is.
Which is the Feast of New Wine.
Not doing it to my own understanding, doing it to what it says right there, doing it to the instruction in the temple scroll, which is a very legitimate document, okay? Counting 7 Sabbaths, number the following day 50. It just so happens in that other, in the calendrical scroll, it pegs it to the 3rd day of the 5th month. But knowing that from the book of Jubilees that the 15th day of the 3rd month is Shavuot, we can count 7 Sabbaths from Shavuot and number the following day 50. And here you have it. Yahweh notified Moses of the idolatry in the camp. Yahweh became very angry and thinks to wipe out all Israel and offers to make a great nation out of Moses. That's pretty cool. But Moses intercedes for Israel like he should do because Moses knows all the promises. Moses, the good man, returned to the camp after 40 days with the tablets of the 10 Commandments. And the people were committing a great sin, which is what it says, and they were worshiping the golden calf idol, and they were playing and naked. Playing and naked, they could be involved in some sort of pagan orgy or something like that. Some people have even said maybe even homosexual orgy. While Moses was descending Mount Sinai, the Septuagint says that the noise that Moses heard is the voice of them that begin the banquet of wine. What do you know? 3rd day of the 5th month. So this alludes to being the festival of new wine. Moses descended the mountain, broke the 10 tablets. Moses burnt and ground the golden calf and threw the gold into the water and made Israel drink the bitter waters on this day, the 3rd day of the 5th month. Then he commanded the Levites to kill, and they killed about 3,000 of the idolatrous men of Israel. And Moses, on this day, the 3rd day of the 5th month, he put a blessing promise to the Levites on this day. So that's something supernatural to look out for. Maybe the resurrection of the Levites on this day. Let's see. Now, I found something interesting. Exodus 32 in the Greek Septuagint. Okay. So it was on that day, the 3rd day of the 5th month. They had to drink the bitter waters, which we know is like that's the test of adultery. So maybe the 3rd day of the 5th month might be the adultery test coming up, because we are possibly, best understanding, 70th Jubilee.
What I'm reading is Exodus 32 verses 30 through 35, and I'm reading it out of the Brenton Septuagint. And there's something really interesting in here to find the timing of this last part right here. And then I'm going to get into some new other insights only on the 364-day calendar.
And it came to pass after the morrow had begun. So this is now the 4th day of the 3rd month. Moses said to the people, "Ye have sinned a great sin, and now I go up to Elohim, that I may make atonement for your sin." This is on the 4th day of the 5th month. Right here. Okay, this is the day right here, 4th day of the 5th month, right here. They had to go back up, right here. Moses went back up on the 4th day of the 5th month. This is really important because there's a big prophecy that I found in here that might be talking about the 10th day of the 5th month. And ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up to Elohim, this is Moses, that I may make atonement for you for your sin. And Moses returned to Yahweh and said, "I pray, O Yahweh, this people has sinned a great sin, and they have made themselves golden gods. And now if thou wilt forgive their sin, forgive it. And if not, blot me out of thy book, which thou hast written." And Yahweh said to Moses, if anyone has sinned against me, I will blot them out of the book. People are getting blotted out on this day. This is like end of the time, 4th day of the 5th month. And now go, descend, and lead this people into the place which I spoke to thee. Behold, okay, so what places does Moses have to take the people to? He has to take the people to where they were going to enter in to the promised land. To like, what is that, Kadesh? Or like right outside Kadesh. They're about to enter in from the south. That's where he's bringing them to. So that's where they're supposed to go. Behold, my angel, the messenger of Yahweh, shall go before thy face. And in the day when I shall visit, I will bring upon them their sin. And Yahweh smote the people for making the calf which Aaron made. So they didn't go to that place where they were supposed to go until they got to the desert in the 2nd year of their journey, where Moses sent the 12 spies, and that's where they were supposed to go. But what I want to say is, Yahweh says that he's going to visit and bring upon them their sin. This is like the ultimate judgment of the Israelites. This could be like the day of Yahweh upon the Israelites. This is probably the 10th day of the 5th month. Even Burial says 9th day of the 5th month, but he doesn't understand that the fast most of you all have the wrong calendar. You won't even understand when the fast begins. The fast begins at sunset because on the calendar it's on sunrise start day. There's just so much wrong. All the teachers have it all wrong. The majority of them does. But anyways, the 10th day of the 5th month is likely the judgment day of the Israelites, because this is when the 12 spies came back. And I can get into that chronology later. But that's why you have that.
Okay, so there you have that. That I just gave you the full chronology. That was up to the 4th day of the 5th month. And then Moses, what he does is after he came down, he then on the 5th day of the 5th month, on that 4th day he has to make new tablets. And then on the 5th day of the 5th month, he goes up the mountain for a second time of 40 days. So now what I'm about to do is I'm about to count 40 days, starting on the 5th day of the 5th month for Moses' second 40 days. And it's going to bring us to a very interesting day, a first fruits festival that nobody knows about really in Exodus 35. It's the first fruits of the tabernacle offering, which in that chapter it's called the first fruits offering that Yahweh takes. So that's pretty awesome. Basically, they get to like redeem themselves, and they're bringing all their gold. They're bringing all the fine luxury goods to make the tabernacle. Okay, so that's something to consider. So now let me go ahead and play that. Now there is a link to this video, to this calendar, so you can count it yourself. Link to this in the video description.
So you can see Moses here. Moses then came down on this morning. Moses had to climb Mount Sinai again with the new tables of stone. And then you count 40 days. He's up there for 40 days on this day, on the 5th day of the 5th month. And he was up there. So that's day number 1. We can count 40 days again right here. 1, 2, excuse me. That's day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. That's day number 40. The following day, right here, 15th day of the 6th month, Moses descended, and then he called for a special offering. This is where you're probably not going to ever hear about this. It's the first fruits of gold, silver, brass, blue, purple, scarlet, double scarlet spun, fine linen, goat's hair, ram's skin, okay, and skins dyed blue, incorruptible wood, sardine stones, and stones for the engraving pieces, and all the gemstones. That's what this day is. It's the first fruits of the tabernacle offering. All right? And no one's ever talked about the first fruits of the tabernacle offering, but it's not on a 50-day count. It was on a 40-day count, and then this event happened. That's Exodus 35, verse 1 through 35. That's amazing how it happened. And it happened 40 days from when Moses came back right here. Moses, he started here on the, what was it, the 5th day of the 5th month. And then he was up there only for 40 days this time. He wasn't up there, he was just up there for 40 days again. And it led you right to, right here, the first fruits offering of the tabernacle offerings. It's amazing stuff. Hallelujah for the understanding. That's a big day to look at. 15th day of the 6th month for something big to possibly happen. If stuff gets really crazy, coming up on the 3rd day of the 5th month this year, and coming up on the 10th day of the 5th month this year. Okay, so now I put the dates back on. So everybody that wants to know, here we are in July. All right, this is our date today. Today's July 15th. We're less than a week away from the First Fruits Festival of New Wine here where I'm at. I'm here on Jerusalem time this year. All the Americas, you guys are a day ahead. So you guys are at the head of the year this year on the solar calibrated 364-day calendar. So your guys if you're in Americas, your First Fruits Festival of New Wine is going to be on July 21st. Here, everywhere else in the earth, it's going to be on July 22nd. And that's the First Fruits Festival of New Wine. I hope to make some more videos on it this week. I got a lot of work that I'm doing. Please lock in. I hope that you guys are all locked in. I'll be making more videos, so look out for those videos. I hope that you're blessed by the information in this video. I hope Barry all repents. I hope everybody repents. And I guess we'll see what happens here coming up. And I'm signing off, and shalom to everyone out there who has the fear of Yahweh Elohim, who has the testimony of his son Yehoshua, and who guards his commandments. Shalom to you.